Okay, we'll call the Polk County Board of Supervisors to order at this time at 5:07 p.m. First, I'd like to make an announcement before we see evidence and opinion of proper notice, and that announcement is, please mute your microphone when you are not speaking to avoid feedback noise and for the clearest audio sound during the meeting. To mute and unmute your mic before video or during a video conference, click on the icon of a microphone with a line through it. To mute and unmute your mic when by phone, dial 6 on your phone keypad. Any questions?
Richard, I did not hear that well. Something about dialing 6 on a keypad?
That's correct. To mute and unmute your mic, dial 6 on your phone keypad. Dial 6.
I'm sorry, for what purpose?
To mute and unmute your microphone.
I can't understand you.
Mike, can you hear me? This is Ben.
I can sort of hear you. You're garbled.
Okay. If you would mute your phone when you're not speaking, you do that by hitting *6. And then when you want to speak, you hit *6 once again.
Okay, so I'll put *6 right now.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Next order of business will be the receipt of evidence and opinion on proper notice. Madam Clerk.
The notice of the County Board of Supervisors meeting agenda was published electronically on the county website, posted in the Government Center building in 2 places at 9:20 p.m. on Thursday, April 9th, 2020. It was distributed to the supervisors and media contacts via email or mail at 9:24 p.m. on Thursday, April 9th, 2020. The agenda was also published in the county's legal papers the week of April 13th, 2020. The second amended agenda and notice of meeting was posted in the Government Center building in 2 places and on the county website and was emailed to supervisors and media via email or mail on April 17th, 2020.
Thank you, Madam. Yeah. Council. Corporation Council, does this constitute proper notice?
It does.
Thank you. At this time, the clerk will call the roll.
All right. Brad Wilson.
Here.
Doug Rody.
Here.
Steve Wandall.
Here.
Chris Nelson.
Here.
Tracy LeBlanc. Paul Masters. Michael Pritchard. Steve Stone.
Here.
Perfect. Jim Edwards.
Here.
Tim O'Connell. Amy Middleton. Sam Hutchinson. Doug Hawkins. John Bonifay.
Here.
Joe Demily.
Here.
And Dean Johansen.
Here. We have a quorum. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there someone who would like to offer something for time of reflection? Supervisor Masters.
The Lord, at this time, let us pray that we all get to look to our coronavirus virus issues that we've been very soon. I am. And pray for our good health for every one of us. Pray for our working together, more together. To good common sense and direction for the future of the good of Polk County. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Masters. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to suspend the rules of order for the seating, relating to the seating arrangement and other non-substantive rule changes. Supervisor Emily, second by Supervisor Bonaprise. All in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. Item 7, matters offered for adoption on consent agenda. A, consideration corrections to the published minutes from February 20, 2020 County Board meeting. B, consideration corrections to the published corrected minutes for March 20, 2020 County Board meeting. Is there a motion to adopt? Supervisor Masters. Supervisor Rowdy, second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. The chair has been informed that there will be no public comments at this meeting. Item 8. So at this time, the county board chair report. So the chair is supposed to report on meetings attended and future meetings. Well, guess what? I don't have any future meetings. So it's going to be a happy future for me. But I do have one meeting that I'd like to report on, and that is a meeting I called and had with Administrator Netherland and Tammy Peterson. And this document that you see here, you may have it in your possession. When I was elected chair, there was a number of questions about outside committees, who's on them, when they're up for re-election, or not. No, this is an election. These are appointments. So the chair makes a lot of these appointments. Some of the appointments are made by the administrators. Some need attention, and some are made by the ADRC. But anyway, if you take a look at this carefully, and you'll be able to peruse this, you won't be acting on this tonight, but it would be helpful to the new chair, I'm sure, as it would have been for me, when you notice that the term is up for most of these. And I think there's a couple of terms on ADRC that are not up. But basically, all these terms, all these positions are up for reappointment. And so if you are if you have been appointed to one of these committees and you'd like to remain on that committee, make sure you let the chair know. And if you do not want to be on this committee and would like to be on a different committee or not any outside committees, make sure you let the chair know that also. And then the chair, maybe there's another person that would like to be on a committee that someone else is already on. Well, advocate for yourself then to be on that committee. And then the chair will take a look at that and decide who to appoint. So this is a pretty comprehensive list. Tammy did a lot of work. Thanks to her, and we went through this. It should be up to date. Supervisor Bonaprise.
Did we approve number 6, the agenda?
Oh, we forgot to approve the agenda.
I know that.
That concludes the chair's report. Thank you. We'll go back to item 6. Okay, all right. There's a motion to approve the agenda with the suspended rules. All in favor say aye. Well, a second for that. Second, Jim Hedgel. Okay, all in favor say aye. Those say aye. Motion carried unanimously. Administrator's report. Administrator Netherland.
Thank you. First, let me welcome all of you, and especially the new members. Congratulations to all of you, but very happy to have you here. I want to thank you also for your understanding. We've gone through some major changes and called some audibles here to allow this meeting to happen, to have people here together. We know how important this is. We have been working diligently, and I especially want to thank our IT folks. Scott Good, who left, Chad here, has been tremendous in getting these things set up. Scott is our new IT director, which I mentioned last time. But they have done remarkable work. What WebEx said might take up to 3 months for us to get on board in an organization like this, we did it in a matter of weeks. So hats off to those people. We will have problems, I'm sure, and challenges, but thank you for bearing with us. Want to pull out some good news here. If you haven't noticed, there is a plaque over here up above. It is a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting. And again, you can see a lot of medallions up there. In 2018, we just received that award once again. So hats off to Maggie, who has retired, as well as Tammy, Rhoda, the whole team upstairs. And now it's in the capable hands of Chad Roberts, and we're very happy to get this recognition. Of course, the hot topic, COVID-19. Let me just say this. The policy committee and the incident command team is meeting on a daily basis. We are working on best practices and policies to keep people safe in this building and throughout the entire county. The types of things that you may not notice that goes on here on a regular basis is extra cleaning. We've had to adapt some personnel policies. We have probably less than half of our employees, just under half of our employees working remotely. That took a Herculean effort to get and technology there so that people are able to continue to provide their services and do their jobs. And I'm very proud of this staff for keeping up on those services that we provide. Other things that are going on a lot that you may or may not know about. Legislation, government executive orders from the governor, they change almost daily. There are days in here where we get announcements and then later in the day we get another voicemail, communication that tweaks it. The bottom line is so far we have 4 cases of the virus in Polk County that have been identified. Don't let that fool you. We've got more. And there will be more identified as we increase our testing, which is going to happen next. But what I can say is we are working very hard and we're very proud of how this community has responded to the safety measures and that we have such a low rate of this virus. So I feel very positive about that. We're going to hear about more cases, but remember, a lot of that's because of the increased testing. What we want to do now is make sure that we can continue to tamp down that curve and keep that virus down, and that's what we're working on. Wanted to give you kind of a quick report on the financial impact. As you recall from the emergency meeting, I've been having to order and make some changes, but let me just give you some ballpark numbers here. Because of the virus, it's been projected that Polk County will get a reduction in their sales tax revenue from anywhere from $200,000 to $400,000 this year. In addition to that, we have additional expenses, things that might include additional equipment for people to work from home, a lot of cleaning supplies, materials. We've had to clean a building here next door to have it ready in case we need a place to put people. And so far, we've spent about $30,000. Now, we expect more invoices to come in. We expect that to grow. But we are addressing it in some ways, such as we have implemented a hiring freeze with some exceptions. We've got some jobs that have to be hired because of statutory requirements, but things that are absolutely critical. We have done some cost-cutting measures where each division is reducing their amount of money they're spending. In addition, we're looking at Chad Roberts and myself and some others are looking at different financial alternatives to help us offset the immediate impact of this virus. Many of the expenses we have, we think a high percentage of that will be reimbursed by FEMA. We have some great people working on that to make sure that we've got our accounting in order so that when this thing ends, and it will end, we can submit this and we will get reimbursed. I think we've learned from the storms last summer how, in fact, we can make that happen. Finally, as I mentioned, it's a priority for us to do everything we can to keep people safe. But we also have an additional goal, and that's to get our economy up and running again. And we are doing everything we can within the executive order to encourage people to follow those guidelines. But we also know that we have to help our businesses. We're supporting local businesses, and we're asking people to be innovative in following those guidelines to make sure they have an opportunity to keep their businesses alive. It's another goal of ours because we want to make sure that we don't destroy what people have built up for so long. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Administrator?
So that concludes the administrator's report, and we now go on to item 11, confirmation of appointments. And Administrator Netherland?
Yes, I would just like to say I'd like to propose a motion, if someone would like to make this motion, that we defer these appointments. And these are the appointments for the non-standing committee. So as the chairman had brought up and said, we're not going to do this tonight. We think we're going to go through the standing committees, the chair, rules of order. We'll do this in 2 weeks on May 12th.
Motion by Supervisor Masters, second by Supervisor Root. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. Item 12, organizational matters for the board term 2020 to 2022. Election of county board officers. First item on that agenda is county board chairperson. And I may remind the board that Robert's Rules of Order does not require a second for nominations. So you don't need to worry about a second. You just nominate the person, and then the clerk will put that nomination, that name on the list, and then we will vote. So at this time, the chair will declare the election nominations for county board chairperson is open. Supervisor Bonifaz. Okay, Chris Nelson. Is there any other nominations? Any other nominations for chair? Any other nominations for chair? Third time? Yes.
Before this nomination goes through, that I'd like an opportunity to talk about this.
That would be appropriate. But first of all, we're going to have the nominations,
Sure, before the vote.
right. And, yes, before the vote, you can certainly speak to you. Okay. The chair is hearing no other nominations for board chair. The chair will declare nominations closed. At this time, the nominee would like to make a few remarks.
Yes, I would. I've been in discussion and I've heard people ask me to take this job. And one thing I need to be very clear on is that I would agree to do it if we have more of a team for me. So as the chair, I know Dean had to do a lot of running around, and I know a lot of other guys have done a lot of running around the state to meetings. I do have a daytime job. I certainly have time to make to do this job, but I would ask for this board to consider, if you're going to vote for me chair, I would like to let you guys know what I would expect as the team, because I certainly am going to need help, and I'm going to need certain people to step up. And what I would like to do as the chair would be to request that would be to have the experience of existing chairs of committees, of department committees. So for first vice chair, I would ask for that to be John Bonifaz, as he is the chair of Health Committee. I would ask for the second chair to be Jay from Public Protection. And then I would also like to request that I would not want to be chair of the Executive Committee. So I would ask that the General Government Committee chair, Brian, would serve as the executive to the executive committee. So the team would be more or less, I feel like there's enough experience there that I could rely on help. I know it's a little out of the order. I don't know if it's proper to elect us as a team versus as an individual, but that's what I request of the board to do if possible.
All right. Well, the chair would have the first vice chair and the second chair on your team, correct?
That would be correct.
Yes. And so, by the way, okay. So at this time, then, is there a motion to make an elect its board chair by unanimous consent? Supervisor Masters?
Under the current rules of order, someone could move as basically like a ticket if you formulated the motion that way. But the only suspension of the current rules would be that the chairman of the board would not be chairman of the executive committee. So that part, that nuanced part, would need a 2/3 vote. But understanding that, as long as the chair is on the executive committee, I think the substance of the requirement is met. But you can vote as a ticket, but in order to have the chairman then not be the chair of the executive committee, that would require a 2/3 vote now, or when you later on, as long as everybody understands this is what Mr. Nelson is requesting, when you go into your rules of order discussion, make it clear in there that the chairman of the board may have someone be his designee as chair in the executive.
So at this time, the chair would like to just, I think since I'm still chair in these other rules of order, wouldn't it be proper to elect the chair? The chair would then take the position, and then they can deal with first vice chair and second vice chair, however the board wishes to do so. Okay, so
Chair,
yes,
I'm going to take the chair under those conditions. So I don't know what the likelihood of me resigning as chair right away, but it could be possible. Just want to make sure we're aware of that. So I'm fine with doing it and keeping the rules of order. I'm hoping that I would have support for that ticket.
all right.
I'm fine with moving the way the chair would like to move right now.
Supervisor Bonner,
I think it would be proper to move that the clerk passes around a ballot for Chris Nelson, chair.
thank you. Is there a second to that? Supervisor Masters. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Same sign? Okay. We don't have it. No, he made no motion, just a point of order. So at this time, the chair can take the new chair, come on up. Been elected, yeah, we just elected, all in favor, say aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Yeah. And by the way, I am turning in the key. So I'm going to leave it right here. All right.
This is the key to your office.
Yeah, and I'm searching for my other card key. I don't know where that is.
Do you have a credit card?
I don't have a credit card, but I do have one of those you swipe.
Thank you.
Thanks. Enjoy.
Are you ready for this, Mr. Everyone?
Are you ready? Come to the circle. No, I'm not.
You want to stay there, Ben, tonight?
Good idea. Thank you.
Pardon? Oh boy, here we go, guys. the next item would be the vice chair. And do we have a motion for vice chair? Supervisor Masters? So a second? You don't need a second, that's right. Do we have another motion for another vice chair?
Need a motion to vice chair?
Jay Luke? Yeah, for first vice chair. Are you saying for first? We're still on first. We're taking nominations for first vice chair.
No, I just think.
Okay. I guess we're going to do it one at a time. Any more nominations? I hear no other nominations. Would we do a unanimous vote again?
But I just want to make sure that we're recording the consent of the two that are in the motion. It's on.
Supervisor Randolph, Supervisor Pitcher, are you guys following us?
I am.
Yes. Yes. Richard.
Okay, so
Richard, yes.
Richard, yes. So do we have one vice chair? It's John. Are we going to take a vote on that then? We want to do, Russ? So we have a motion to cast unanimous ballot. Do we need a second? Not on that either? Okay, all in favor of John being first vice chair, say aye. Aye. All opposed? So, John is, that would be a unanimous vote. John is, vice chair. Do we have, a motion for a second vice chair nomination?
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Jay Luke for second vice chair.
Jay Luke is named. Any other names for second vice chair? I hear none. Can I have a motion for that? Russ? All in favor of Jay?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries. Jay second vice. Would it be proper at this point to suspend the rules to accept having the executive or the chair of the executive committee voted on like I asked for it?
You could, or you could just make that a part of the new rules of order, and then you're fine.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. Okay, so first vice chair is John, second vice chair is Jay. Looks like our next agenda item is 13, Committee of the Whole. Under that, we have discussions of revisions to the Polk County Board of Supervisors Rules of Order.
Need a motion to move this agenda to the whole?
Yes, we do. Supervisor O'Connell makes the motion to go on Committee of the Whole. Supervisor Bonifay seconds it. That would require a vote. All in favor say yes. Say aye. You guys go ahead and say yes or aye. Aye. All opposed say no.
No, the PowerPoint.
All opposed say aye. Like I said, you guys are gonna have to train in. It's a little harder when you're sitting here, you know. So, we got a unanimous, to go into, Committee of the Whole. Again, the, IT guys are reminding board members to turn on mics when speaking. I got my first note. I'm going to say that for the talk.
And you'll know it's on when the flashing turns to green. You just press it once. Don't hold it down for too long. Just click it, watch it, snooze it, green. It's on. But then when you are not talking, click it again to make it go back to red so that you don't get feedback.
Okay, so discussion of revisions for Polk County Board of Supervisors Rules of Order. Anyone want to start?
Mr. Chairman, I have a PowerPoint presentation to start the discussion if you would like. So those of you who are new, Mr. Warndall and Ms. Duncanson and Ms. Middleton, the committee of the whole is a time when the rules are relaxed. So it's not as formal, so we can have a more robust and generalized discussion. So the reason why we put the rules of order in this is so that we can have just that. Now, it might be a little difficult with some of us being remote. What we did was send you out the current rules of order, and then I drafted some suggested changes, reorganized the rules, and I made a PowerPoint of the summary of the differences between what we currently have and what I suggested. I'm not saying you should change the rules. I just wanted you to have an option. Some of the suggested changes are a result of what I've witnessed, what Vince and I have talked about, things where questions have come up in the past about how legislation happens at the committee and the board level. But again, I'm not making a recommendation. I'm just trying to share some options. Can we start the PowerPoint? And is this also then shared on the WebEx for those? Great.
Yes, it is.
I just click this button? Yes, okay. Okay. Are you sure? I'm clicking. Okay, thank you. Okay, so certain changes are recommended based upon what we've experienced recently with the COVID-19 stuff. Currently, your rules of order say that your terms are for 2 years. And we had a question, what if the election had been delayed? What if there was a circumstance where we needed county board supervisors to carry over for a few weeks, a month or two because of election changes? In fact, there was about an hour and a half on the day before election where we thought the election might get delayed. And so if you add just a small clause at the end of the sentence in the rules of order that you guys have 2-year terms or until a successor is elected, so that if this were to happen or some other emergent situation arose, you wouldn't have to worry about that. It would be clear that it carries through. Also, authorizing meetings using technology when there's emergent situations. Currently, the rules of order require you to be present in person. And this would allow some flexibility. I didn't draft anything so that any supervisor who just felt like not coming could appear telephonically or by video or some other technology. This would really be for emergent situations. And the suggested mechanism by which we would decide if there is such an emergent situation would be by getting the chairman and the administrator to agree, yes, this is one of those situations, whether it's a tornado, whether it's weather-related, or some public health-related like this, or some other emergent situation. Also, your current rules of order require public comment to happen at the county board level. We had tested public comment in committees using the technology, and it's possible that it's not very practical, and maybe the technology will increase. So making this change would allow the flexibility to, in those circumstances where there is an emergent situation, again, as decided by the chair and the administrator jointly, you could not have public comment. Now, keep in mind that if you don't make any of those changes, you can still, so these two on the bottom, suspend the rules at any time by 2/3 majority. And that's what we've done here today, and that's what we've done at committee meetings. But I definitely would recommend the first change that's based upon the COVID situation.
Now, the meaty stuff. This is how legislation happens. Right now, your rules are not very clear as to how someone gets a resolution or a concept before the board or a committee. And what we have found is that supervisors feel the need to have a resolution drafted just to introduce a topic. And then if that resolution wasn't really thought out or vetted at the beginning, then there's lots of amendments and changes and it becomes cumbersome. Wouldn't it make sense to have someone who has a concept where they think this legislation might be a good idea, that they bring the topic forward first, and that topic is discussed. And then if the board or a committee says, yeah, we think it might be a good idea to craft some legislation, they direct that legislation be crafted. Of course, there are normal resolutions that are routine, that come from staff, that will be recommended by the administrator. And those are not the ones we're talking about. But the way I've changed, at least in my proposal, the legislative process, we would have 4 different mechanisms by which legislation could be drafted and introduced. The first is, the chair says, yep, sounds like a good idea, let's draft that. The administrator says, yep, that sounds like a good idea, let's draft that. So that's the first 2. Now what if the supervisor says to the administrator, I think this is a good idea, and the administrator says, I don't know if the timing is right, or let's wait on that. And that supervisor feels really strongly that no, this is time sensitive, or urgent for some other reason, or I just feel really strongly about it. Let's give them other options. So the 2 options those supervisors would have would be to either place that topic, not a pre-drafted resolution, on the county board agenda for a committee of the whole talk. And if there was a consensus that, yeah, the board would like to look at some legislation that carries out that idea, they would direct staff to draft that legislation. Or they could place it on the appropriate committee's agenda and have the committee direct that resolution be drafted. These are recommendations to make it clear how legislation can come forward. It also gives folks the ability to say, hey, this topic is really important to me. Whether it's a trail issue or some other, controversial topic, another moratorium on something. And instead of drafting legislation on the front end before you've had robust discussions, you can bring that topic forward and have that discussion either here in the committee of the whole or at a committee level. So those are the suggestions that I drafted into the proposed changed rules of order. I guess I talked to present. And then miscellaneous changes that don't fit into other things. These will be my proposal. Generally speaking, the committee assignments as far as what departments and divisions report to them remains the same. We did tweak it a little bit in our recommendation or our proposal as an option so that it more accurately reflects the division model. So moving certain things under public works, changing the name of the highway committee, what's currently public safety and highway, to public safety, public works. It incorporates the highway committee, but it also reflects that division model because then the division director isn't going to be running from committee to committee to report on different subunits within their division. Again, these are just options to consider. I also recommend, or at least give as an option, the executive committee being the final arbiter of disputes between standing committees. So you might have a committee that says, we want to talk about the Polk Fair. And another committee says, that's not your job. That should be in committee over here. Well, when those things arise, they would go to the executive committee, and the executive committee would say, you're not hearing it, Committee A, and you're hearing it, Committee B. They would be the final decider on that. Also, in case you don't like what Supervisor Nelson is doing as chair or any other chair in the future, currently there is no mechanism by which you could remove a county board chair. And you would hope that the county board chair maintains the confidence to run the meetings and to make sure legislation is processed correctly. And this will be a mechanism by which 2/3 of the entire board do not have faith in the county board chair. So it could be a removal. I'm suggesting that based upon historical events where there have been concerns about various actions by different chairs in the past. It's, again, just an option to consider.
Yeah. You bring that up because it's my first ninth year.
That's right. That's right. And that's all I had as far as the suggested changes. Now, I know that some of you might have ideas on how we can change the rules of order to make them more efficient. And so I think you have a couple of options tonight. We can have a robust discussion about ideas, and decide tonight to make changes or not to make changes. Or we can have a robust discussion and defer this again to May so that you can, if you haven't already had the opportunity, really delve into some of those changes and make some recommendations yourselves. I think either way would be appropriate going forward, and I think staff is prepared to assist you either way you would like to go. Do any of you have any questions of what I've shared with you today as far as my options? Supervisor O'Connell?
Yes.
Is your mic on?
Is this going to be so it's codified so it fits into our system that we're trying to redo?
Once you decide on the rules of order, it will become an ordinance, yes. And then once we have our meeting code actually created, this will be a part of that, yes.
Okay. But it's laid out that way? And formatted right?
Well, I don't know how meeting code is going to want things formatted, but yes, we would make sure that whatever format would needed to be. Supervisor Masters.
The document after the city of the whole new on our agenda, the organizational matter for involve the documents of the rules of order. That would be helpful.
You can do that. Yes. So you can have the discussion here and all that stuff. Did you have a question? Could you turn on your mic?
So I understand this correctly. When you talk about committees remaining basic is the same, are you talking about what matters and topics and departments those committees address, or are you talking about membership of what comprises the committee and what people are on?
Excellent question. I'm talking about topics that report to that committee, not individuals who are on the committee. Good question.
Can I say Mike Pritchard, am I on?
Yes?
Mike Pritchard, am I on?
Yes, you are on. I can hear you, Supervisor Pritchard.
I will make a few comments. First, a question. Did the board at one of its recent meetings commission this project?
No, the board has not addressed this statutorily at the organizational meeting, which this is the organizational meeting. That is when the rules of order are always addressed. Previous boards can make recommendations if they want to the future board on proposed changes. This board did not, or the previous board did not do that. That's why I simply took it upon ourselves as staff to make some observations about tools or ways we could possibly improve the rules, and that was the impetus for my draft.
Here's what I am going to propose, and I should say by way of background that I did take a fair amount of time trying to compare our current rules of order with the draft, and I had some problems because the format was changed somewhat, and I guess it probably would have been easier if we just inserted the changes into the old document, the one that has 2018 on it, I guess. And but in any event, what I'm going to come around to, but I'll make a few more comments, is that I think we should probably have a committee or task force, ad hoc committee perhaps of the board with a couple of supervisors and Malia and whoever else on the staff might be appropriate. We have, over the past few years, we've had some problems and we've discussed it somewhat at the board level. One of my observations and then I know going to our divisional format that there probably are some changes that should be made in that respect. One of the things I saw that there was an entire Article 8, Section 4, it was 3 pages long in the current rules, so basically the general rules applying to standing committees. And as far as I could tell, they were left out of the proposed draft to the new draft, and they have a number of substantive matters of how the committees conduct their affairs and what responsibilities they have in a general sense. And I think those need some review and discussion rather than just summarily chopping them out of the document. There were some other provisions that may or may not have complied with Robert's Rules of Order provisions, and I guess we can override that if we wish. But anyway, a number of points here, and I think I had certainly a difficult time getting comfortable with being able to go through and understand why the changes were made on a line-by-line basis. So I would like to propose that concept that we have I guess I call it an ad hoc committee. It could be appointed by the chair, and I'd suggest there be at least a couple of supervisors to work with corporate counsel and perhaps whoever else on the staff that might have to it. But I would not feel comfortable adopting them at our meeting this afternoon. And having said that, I've got about a sentence here, propose a rule of order ad hoc committee be appointed by the chair to include the corporate counsel and 2 supervisors, with the chairman and the administrator could be ex officio.
And that motion, Supervisor Pritchard, would not be appropriate for committee of the whole, but could be made after we go out of committee of the whole. Supervisor Bond, do you have a question?
That's a good point, and that's a concept that I would espouse with the report back. It's a fairly lengthy legal document with references to state statutes and to the way the committees are operating and a number of other things that come into play. And I think it needs some careful attention before we put it into a final form. And I don't know that we need to make extensive changes, rather adopting some of the things we think are the most of the most concern, maybe, to how we operate. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Supervisor Bonaparte.
And correct me, even with the supervisors, if when we change to the administrative form of government, I remember myself included, we had a very rude awakening as to the duties and priorities and statutes that administrative form of government is. And I believe that technically the administrator has the power to select all the people on the committees. And we left that open to Tim Anderson helped us draft these committees. That was 4 or 6 years ago. When we went on the board and we put on a simple way we thought we could be
And then technically by statute, I think that the administrator and the county chair approved those committees once we had them set up. I think there's been some discussion that the committees, the new people would look at the spots that are open from the retirees and fill in, and if some people wanted to make some changes, they would bring that up to the council.
Thank you, Supervisor Bonatice. The election of committee members and selection process is not in your rules of order, so I think that discussion, although appropriate, is better left to when we get to that topic on the agenda. Were there any other questions about the rules of order? Supervisor O'Connell.
Okay, that isn't the full set of rules, is it? Because you don't have a petty scheme or you don't have anything on the resolution by form or anything, it's not in here.
No, I have drafted a new resolution form. I've shared it with the administrator. It's a lot cleaner than the current resolution form, but it's not attached. Again, I think when we have our first resolution going forward, you don't have to approve a particular form in your rules of order as far as the resolution. I would ask that you leave that out so that as staff, we can make sure your resolutions are drafted in the cleanest form possible.
That's what we had trouble with before, so we didn't have to number it. We ended up with Roman numerals, all kinds of details.
Right, if you
put the same form up so that it stays the same, everybody can read it.
Right, so if you read the proposal, it talks about having the corporation counsel's office, or once a committee or a board or the administrator or the chair has directed that certain legislation be drafted, our office would draft that legislation so that it was always consistent.
But we should have that in our rules. You're always going to be here also. You know,
and I can
corporation counsel, something happened. That's why we put it in there. We were getting all kinds of different things. That's why we set the forms up like.
And I'd be more than happy to provide that draft form. I think you'll like it. It has a bar on the front where it lists the supervisors in case there is a ballot vote or a roll call vote from the clerk can tally it very quickly. It'll have the information up front rather than everything at the back end where there's all these signature lines and everything else.
It also didn't have anything about sponsorship much in here, that we should know who sponsored it before it comes to the board, like we have now.
It would either be sponsored by the administrator through staff as a recommendation, or the county board chair, or the full board or committee based upon when someone puts that topic on the agenda. That's a part of those 4 changes to how legislation can be introduced.
I'm letting Maria run this part, so I'll let her.
Supervisor Rowdy? Sorry.
Well, just so I'm clear, I went through each line of the proposal and AP, and I read it as a green, for order to green. So, greens pretty much go back and forth. There are a lot of proposals already in here.
Yes.
So, what you're seeing with your PowerPoint is you're going to incorporate the changes from here into the original AP. And the reason I ask that is because there's quite a few people, let's say the last pages, compensation, reimbursement, article, general, all of that isn't in your proposal. Is that going to go back in? There's a whole section there.
Well, and again, the compensation for county board supervisors, the decision making is set by statute. Previously, you copied and mirrored the statute in your rules of order. I took out anything that was duplicative of already existing statutes that require the previous board to set the compensation for future boards, but certainly we could add that back in if you wanted.
Well, I'm not asking that. I wanted your explanation, and that came out that answers.
Okay.
Yeah.
other questions? Thank you. Yes.
I have a question, and I'm not sure with the appropriate timing to ask this, forgive me if I'm out of order a little bit here. In reading through the rules of order, the proposed ones and the past ones, it's really contrary to me, and I felt like I've received somewhat conflicting information on this. Does the county board chair vote on matters?
It depends. When it is a ballot vote, the county board chair would vote. When it is a roll call vote, if they need to vote because it would break a tie, then they vote.
Okay, thank you. I was just asking for clarification.
Good question. Thank you.
So that's A, you covered more, correct? So while we're still in committee of the whole, under B, organizational matters, recommendations concerning communities, responsibilities, and assigned functions. Is anyone, Supervisor Masters?
Comment on that?
Supervisor O'Connell?
I would like to take out the executive committee as the board chair. Doesn't have to be out. Do a designee or whatever.
Point of order, I don't think we're at that point.
But you're talking, I got some, sorry. That would kick that out. Or have a day. They have to. That would be Article 4.
And that question is because of my comments that the chair, I did not feel like it was my responsibility to be the executive committee chair, so I was hoping that can be in a appointed position.
Correct.
Any other concerns on the B? Supervisor Duncanson, did you have something about committee duties or assigned functions?
No, I didn't. My question was answered by the
Okay. Go ahead, Supervisor Brownlee.
Mr. Chair, I was wondering, now, we have to vote on this, don't we not, if we're going to do this today or the next board meeting?
Right now, it's on the agenda to, after we come out of, between county board, we're going to vote on that. Yep, today. Supervisor Melvin.
When do you want any tweaks in your draft? Do you want it now or do you want it? When is that appropriate moment?
It would be appropriate to have a discussion about what your tweaks would likely be, but a motion to actually change anything would be appropriate when you're out of the committee of the whole. But you can certainly express your opinion on what might need to be changed.
Yeah, and I'd like to add, Supervisor Melvin, so one of the things about this committee of the whole that I found always very helpful, and I hope we have more of these in the future, is that it gives us an opportunity to just talk and to flesh out your ideas, say something so we don't consume the time while we're voting on it. You can already kind of flesh it out now and see where people kind of stand on it, other supervisors. So I'm hoping we'll have a committee of the whole every board meeting, and we'll have an opportunity to have a little bit broader discussion on whatever issues we have that we're going to be voting on for that night.
Yeah, thank you. I like that idea a lot because I don't want to run things by. And one of the things that I was tweaking in here is some of this language, just kind of thinking through some of the conversation around debate where we say we're not supposed to talk longer than 5 minutes. There's not sort of a what then kind of piece, and I have some language that we could put in there. So if one of us goes longer than 5 minutes or 10 minutes and she stops, then any of us could make a motion and ask the chair to do something about that. That was one of the things I was tweaking and thinking about. The other things I was sort of thinking about is it's not in the 2021, so maybe it's a mood issue, but I'd like adding kind of this, we had this conversation in the 2018 version of Article 1 sort of purpose, where we talked about these rules are designated to protect the rights of the members of the Polk County Board, and I would say, well, it should be common staff also, we love our staff, and the public, because we love having their public in there. But I didn't see any word particular spots for this in the 2020 version. So maybe we get to that point. But mostly I did have a spot for that debate conversation about limiting time.
I can address that, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
So anytime any supervisor feels like the rules of order are being violated and there has not been a vote, they would raise their hand and say point of order. Then debate stops, and this is a part of Robert's rules. It would be a really great idea, maybe we can provide you a cheat sheet of those things, but then you stop debate and address, okay, the rules say 5 minutes, or whatever other rule you believe is being broken, Mr. Chair, would you please address that? So you can always, as a supervisor, in Robert's Rules of Order, make a point of order to inquire as to whether the chair will rule that yes, that is, I will sustain your point of order.
Supervisor Morgan, too, I'd like to just add one comment to that, too, is I personally believe if you have more than 5 minutes that you need to discuss something, we should be hashing that out in committees. And when we get to the board and it's gone through a committee, we're here, we certainly have had some very long meetings I've been at, but it can get real long. And at this point, to change everyone's mind at the board over an issue that didn't get through a committee properly or someone didn't agree with, it just, normally the chair in the past has not let anyone talk more than 5 minutes. And generally the rule is you can have 2 whacks at an issue unless someone's directly talking about your issue and there needs to be discussion back and forth. But generally, that's, if someone could correct me, but that is the general way that the county board has operated over the years.
So, it sounds like then it's covered. We don't need to write it in there because it's already implied under rules.
That would be my interpretation. Thank you.
Supervisor Duncanson?
I just want to add to that as the board chair, as everybody here knows, it's your job to control a meeting. And so I guess, I agree with what Amy just said, on further discussion, that it might be a kind of repetitive to put it in there as well.
Thank you. Supervisor Masters? Anyone else on B? We'll move on to C, discussion of the resolutions and ordinances noticed on the agenda. Does anyone have any comments about Maria's take on maybe the process or some changes to the process of introducing resolutions and the ordinances noticed on the agenda, because that's what that specifically is about, right? It's how we bring resolutions to the board and to committee. Discussion of resolutions. Ordinances noticed on the agenda.
This is Mike Richard, and I
know what we have. Is Supervisor Pritchard or Wendell trying to talk in here? No? Okay. Pritchard did. Pritchard? Supervisor Pritchard, do you have a comment?
We're talking about the resolutions on the agenda now?
Yes, we are.
I'm looking again at the resolution on the Clam Falls Dam, and we've had a lot of attention over a long period of time and a fairly emphatic denial of having the county get involved in that circumstance. And again, we're talking about things coming. I don't know if it's coming with the recommendation of the Environmental Services Committee or whatever, but I'm hesitant to see that the board spend a lot more time on that issue after all we've spent in the past, and that's just my comment.
Thank you. Supervisor Olson, do you want to talk about that, or should I? Well, you can. And the chair of general government was also his understanding, it did go through general government. Sure. You have a faulty mind, Mr. Chairman. We did that on purpose for you, Supervisor Olson? I'm sure you did. So, yeah, I guess I can speak to it now or later, so I'll speak to it now. It doesn't ask the county to spend any money. It just simply says, Supervisor Pritchard's right, we've had a lot of these discussions. But at no point has county staff ever approached Northwestern New Mexico and said, is there anything that we can do to help facilitate it? Not spend a penny on it. That isn't what this is about. This isn't about taking it over. This is about the county saying to the owner of the dam before it is full, is there anything we can do to help? Pretty much the start and the end of it, it's just what can the county do to keep that lake there from a facilitating point, not a financial point. Supervisor Masters, did you have anything to add? No, I'm just thinking, here's my voice now. Supervisor Bonifaz?
I wanted to thank our council here for bringing this to the forefront and suggesting some changes. We've had a long history of councils. We've had quite a bit of turnover. And I think now this really solidifies a lot of things that should have been done, and I appreciate all your work and resources bringing it to the forefront.
Any other questions on committee of the whole? Supervisor Rowdy?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Under the resolutions here, under 16, A and B are crossed out. Is that because, can I go back to the front and says we're having a virtual meeting? Are we going to do that at the next meeting? Discuss those?
Supervisor Rowdy, I'll let Maria address that, or Vance?
I think the intention is to potentially have 2 meetings in the month of May so that we can get back on track on resolutions that have lagged because of our virtual meetings. We also have the WCA coming, or perhaps virtually, to facilitate some education pieces for the entire board. So yes, one of, if not the next, the one following that, one of the 2 that we plan on having in May.
Any other discussion in committee of the whole that everyone wants to have? All right, do we have a motion to reconvene, or do we?
I move to adjourn the meeting as a non-person.
John Bonifaz made the motion to reconvene. Supervisor Masters seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? 14. Reconvene as county board. Do we have a motion to reconvene, or is that the motion?
Yes, that's a motion.
That passes the method. 15. Continue organizational matters for the board term 2020 to 2022. Under A, develop and adopt revisions to Polk County Board of Supervisors Rules of Order, ordinance number 17-16. Do we have any, or do we properly, other discussion? Does anyone have a discussion about that?
Jim.
Supervisor Masters?
Can we make motion to make these rules order?
That would be in order to, this would be the time to actually, make any motions to change the rules of order.
Mr. Chairman, can you clarify that?
Supervisor Rowdy?
Can you clarify the motion, because I couldn't quite hear if it's just to incorporate the 2 together?
So far, we don't have a motion for anything.
We don't have a motion.
No. Supervisor, talk about an amendment to the rules. Susie, Mr. O'Connell is recognized.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I think we got to decide which way we're moving forward. Neither one of mine have that 17, 16 on.
That was a typo on my part. It's the ordinance of 4318. I had the wrong ordinance number for the resolution.
Is there the draft? Is the one that we're going to look at?
Yes, we are looking at the proposed draft by staff is the one we're working off of.
It should have a number.
And that number is?
So, right now we're looking at changing 4318. It has not been a number given to
Okay.
Supervisor Arcan?
I know, Supervisor Pritchard was trying to break in, but I think maybe we want to get all bogged down in this here, which I feel we're already getting bogged down. Maybe we should consider Supervisor Pritchard's recommendation for a committee together, ad hoc committees, to look at this and put something together and bring it back to us at the next meeting. Otherwise, I can see all those things here.
Supervisor Pritchard?
Well, I will second that if that's a motion, or make a motion to that effect if it's not.
I did not, Supervisor Pritchard did not hear a motion, so Supervisor Arcan, do you have to make a motion?
I will move.
Supervisor Pritchard, you'll have to wait a minute, please. Supervisor Arcan,
Make a motion that we ask the chair to put a ad hoc committee together to work on it.
So that is the motion that the chair would put an ad hoc committee to work on it and have it prepared for next board meeting. So we would currently stand under the current rules of order.
That's correct, so that if there was one executive committee meeting that happens between now and then, and I don't think you would have one, you would be required to chair that until we have the new rules. You would operate under the current rules. You would also need to lay this on the table so that it is, as far as a date certain, you're continuing the organizational committee meeting, because any amendment to the rules of order that happens when it is not at the organizational committee meeting would require a 2/3 majority. So in the motion, I would just incorporate that you are adjourning that part of the organizational meeting to that date certain.
Are you okay with that, Supervisor Arcan? Supervisor Pritchard, did you want to second that?
I'll second it, yeah.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Is there additional discussion? I guess I would like some feedback on this on a time, so then supervisors have an opportunity to have a chance to review what the recommendations are. Supervisor Olson?
Did we have a date certain?
We will have a May 12th meeting, which will be kind of the orientation meeting, as well as.
I don't know if you can do it on May 12th. Election day again. Crazy high.
How about that Thursday night? Well, the reason we were having it on May 12th was because of the WCA, Wisconsin Counties Association. That's when they're coming through town. But we may be, let me contact them and see if, since it may be a virtual meeting now anyway, maybe it's possible to do it on that Thursday night. We were originally tied to that date because that's when they were coming through town on the way up, so I grabbed it. But how many people, I think, Fran, you mentioned you could not make it. The two of you cannot make it. Okay. Yeah, and that's during the day too. So maybe we could look at May 5th for a meeting to do. I
I think we need, let me look at another possible date. But we thought about having 2 meetings in May. One to cover some of this orientation stuff, and to possibly be with the rules of order. And then also that in the May normal board meeting, we'll be catching up on normal business with the resolutions and that type of thing. So we could say we could adopt the new rules of order after the committee meets at our next board meeting. That's a sure date. So why don't we just say that? May 19th is when we will vote on this.
So Administrator Netherland, would you, so I think the recommendation would be, from Supervisor Pritchard, be the chair, the administrator, corporation counsel, and a couple other supervisors involved in this? Was that what I heard? That was his suggestion. Okay. Yeah, I would like to know volunteers, if it would be great.
Could we, create a motion just to come out before we go through that bottom?
Sure.
Yeah, we're in discussion.
Yeah. Roll call. Roll call. You want a roll call?
Explain the motion just so we get it right when we're voting for it, please.
I have a clerk explaining the motion. She's been voting.
So this is to put together an ad hoc committee to work on the changes for the rules of order for the next organizational meeting to be adjourned at the upcoming May 19th meeting. Is that right? Yes. Okay. So, of the ad hoc committee. Roll call vote, let's see. Brad Olson?
Yes.
Doug Rode?
Yes.
Steve Warndahl?
Yes.
Chris Nelson? You won't know, you don't. Okay.
I need to write down.
Tracy LeBlanc? Yes. Brian Masters?
Yes.
Michael Pritchard?
Yes.
Jim Edgel?
Yes.
Tim O'Connell?
Yes.
Amy Middleton? Jay Luce?
Yes.
Fran Duncanson? Yes. Russ Arkan?
No.
John Bonifay?
Yes.
Joe Denneling?
Yes.
Yeah.
Motion, approved. Next item, yeah, okay, so, would this be appropriate then to ask for the volunteers at this time since we're on the topic? Supervisor Bonifay, Supervisor Rowley, raise their hand. That's what we'll do. So it'll be, the administrator, Malia, myself, John, and Doug.
Just give us a date and time for making the.
Yes.
Tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock? Well,
Maybe 7:50.
that's what the recommendation was by the author of the, alright, D, we're on establishing duties, responsibilities, and assigned functions of county board standing committees. Do we have a motion? Are we going to continue with the existing rules? How do you want to handle line by line?
Currently, the rules of order address that, so since you were delaying any change to the rules of order, I think that will then naturally also be changed to that date certain in May.
Do we need to vote on that, or that just ties right in with it? That'll get postponed. So we're the same with C. We'll look C, nomination, appointment, confirmation, supervisors, and standing board, county board standing committees.
That could still go forward because you're not talking about changing the committees, you're just talking about maybe tweaking the functions of each committee. But right now you have those standing committees, and if you don't appoint, then there won't be any ability to have a committee meeting between now and the May meeting. So you need, if you want to have committee meetings between now and May, you would need to go through that process.
So does anyone want to speak, to that item of, what we, Supervisor Duncanson?
Yes, I don't know if this is appropriate time or not, so please forgive me if I'm getting kind of things or not, but, we'll be taking nominations tonight for committee.
That's on the agenda. That's what we're doing right now.
Okay. In that event, I would like to nominate myself for the General Government Committee. I'll give you my sales pitch, elevator speech here for everybody. Looking at...
Supervisor Duncanson, can I just pause 1 minute? I'd like to get ready to do this if that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
And when we get ready to do it, I just want to make staff's ready. We're going to be documenting all those, right? So, Administrator and Corporate Counsel, you guys have anything to say before we go through this process?
Right, and because this is kind of a process with moving parts, we've asked Bob Kazmierski and Tim Anderson to come down and help facilitate this whole process. When we'll go through each committee, we've got a process to explain that. So I don't know if I think Bob and Tim are upstairs.
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, can you come down?
Well, I think we can. Can you see the screen? Can you see our screen?
No. Yeah, we see the screen.
Yes, we see the PowerPoint.
Oh, okay. You got the PowerPoint up there. Okay.
Yes, sir. If you'd like, we could try to facilitate it here remotely. We do have a process that we can try.
Okay. Yep.
As long as you can.
You just don't want to. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, County Board, congratulations. Good evening to you all. Glad to be here. Are we coming in clearly?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Again, my name is Bob Kazmierski, and along with County Planner Tim Anderson. We've designed a process for signing standing committees. We think it's a fair process that protects the status quo, in other words, the current committee structure. It also provides for some flexibility for the current or tenured members, as well as opens up some opportunities for our newly elected officials. However, we got a little bit of housekeeping to do prior to addressing the standing committee. And that's the executive committee. You can see on the board, there's a little bit of housekeeping to do there. Still need a nomination and appointment to fill that last vacancy on the executive committee.
Excuse me, Bob?
Yes, sir.
I would really like you to come down to the room and do it in phase here. It would be a lot clearer for us, I believe. This is kind of a big deal, and we're having a hard time following it.
Okay. Chairman Nelson, would you entertain or one of the county board members to recess so we can locate that?
Sure. We'll take a motion. I believe we can shoot for a recess for a 5-minute break. Is 5 minutes enough? How much do you need, Bob? 10 minutes?
10 minutes would be
10-minute break. We'll take a 10-minute break. We have a motion and we have a second by Supervisor Olson. All in favor? Session. Okay, the county board is back in session, and Bob is going to give a presentation or instructions or some help.
Right. Can you hear me? Is the mic on?
Yes.
Okay, so I can be heard and I hear you.
So the board is back in session, Bob. While we were out of session, nothing got talked about.
Nothing got talked about. Congratulations. Tim Anderson and I have designed a process for assigning a standing committee. However, prior to doing that, we have a bit of housekeeping, which is transition to the city committee. So your process could be a typical process where supervisors in this vacancy can self-nominate themselves. Perhaps they can present a case for why they should be on the executive committee, and then a call for a vote. In the event there's more than one self-nominated 24 supervisor that is interested in the vacancy, then we would do a paper ballot. Actually, paper ballot, which you would vote for your desired choice. The clerk would collect and tally, and then obviously the candidate will vote. So that would be a process to complete this part of the committee.
So Bob, I have a question for you on that. Because this one is going to be tied with the rules of order, this is going to have to wait till next county board meeting, correct? Yeah.
It's up really to you and the board. Right now, if you're going under the current rules of order, the only difference is that you've already nominated Brian Masters to be a part of this committee. You would just be the chair of that first committee meeting if there was a committee meeting between now and then, but it still would create just that one vacancy because you've already appointed Supervisor Masters.
So one comment I would just like you guys to consider was that the executive committee now is made up of the chair of general government, the chair of health, the chair of public protection, county board chair. As an executive committee, I would think that I'd like you guys to have a discussion whether a vacancy should just be a random supervisor or it should be one of the other divisional committees that a chair of the environmental services should be that position, or a representative of that, since we have a broad group to sit on the executive, would be a proposal for you guys to consider. That's a comment.
Mr. Chair, I appreciate that. As the chairs of the committee are elected by the committee, so I think that makes it pretty democratic. And I would like to nominate Tim O'Connell, chair of the Environmental Services, to be the vacant position.
I'll second that.
So we have a first and a second.
Question?
Now, are we, in this process, excuse me, Joe, Malia, do we take a first and a second on this voting, and do we take numerous nominations?
You could, but the concern would be that once the committee, depending upon whether there are changes on the Environmental Services Committee, Mr. O'Connell may not be the chair. I presume that if he remains, he would be the chair, but that's not necessarily the case. But perhaps you just want to identify that as a representative from Environmental Services, and then go to the other committees and make a selection. And then once you know who is on Environmental Services and how many committees other folks are on, you would come back to the executive.
I change that motion then?
John, you can do anything you want.
Being their experience on the board is also another qualification. Right. I would just name Brian Masters and Tim O'Connell to be served with the chair, vice chair, and chair on the executive board.
So you have a second? Supervisor Duncanson, are you still seconding that?
Yes.
So we have a first and a second.
No question.
And Supervisor Denman has a question.
Now, the thing here is we're voting on this now. Isn't there any, does any like on Health and Human Services, does any of the other people vote, or is it just the supervisor?
It's just supervisor.
Okay. Because I thought we were going to do this all next meeting.
So the appointments, the appointments are going to be done at next meeting, but to put supervisors on the committee so we can conduct committee meetings, we are voting on to fill all the spots on committees is all I understand tonight. Is that correct? Yes, that is what we're doing. So we have a first and a second for the executive committee. The way I understand it is Brian Masters is the chair, and Kim O'Connell would be the nomination from Environmental Services to also sit on executive committee. Is there any further discussion or call at this point? Will you call for a vote? How do you call that? If there's no other nominations, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried unanimous. That one was easy, Bob.
Yeah, thank you. That was
Yeah.
so now we can transition into the appointment to the standing committee. We have a title for it. It's called Voluntary Committee Assignment, Reduction, and Switching. And I know we have some constraints with remote access from the other supervisors for remote technology. But I think if we're patient enough and we trust the process, it can really work out very well. And this particular process is designed, again, to kind of protect the status quo. In other words, the current makeup of the governing committee. It also provides some flexibility for those who are currently on those committees to move. And lastly, maybe more importantly, it provides some opportunities for our newly elected officials to assume sustaining community roles. So, prior to jumping into that process, here's just some background information. Easy math, right? We have 25 total positions on the 5 standing committees. 5 have already been dedicated to the executive committee, and so that remains, what remains is 4 current vacancies on the other standing committees. We have 3 newly elected officials. That's not a big amount. That's not a lot of choice for the folks. But again, as we go through the process, there'll be some opportunities for some flexibility. Thirdly, an ideal world would be great if each of you served on 2 teams. Easy math. But that's not the case. Currently, again, we have obviously 15 supervisors. 5 of you serve on 1 committee. 6 serve on 2 committees. And 1 stays on 3. Again, we have 3 new county board supervisors. Quick quiz. Who serves on 3? Who among you serves on 3?
William pointed John.
I serve on public council and the highway.
And executive.
And executive. Oh, yeah, that's on the thing.
So here's a quick list of those that serve on committees. Those of you that serve on 1 are listed here below. 2. And then, of course, Mr. Bonacai serves on 3. Here is the existing committees and appointments. Notice in the sort of orange font, those are our current vacancies. And those are the folks we're going to work on to fill. I do want to point out that yeah.
Yeah, what's that?
Highway. Public safety and public order. So again, we want to provide some flexibility for movement here, and with that comes 2 questions. 2 questions that the county board chair will ask you all. as we go through the process. Chairman Nelson, do you have our script in?
Yes, I do. I do have your script.
In the process section, Mr. Nelson, it's highlighted. Do you see that?
Number 3?
In step 2.
In step 2? Yes, I do. The chair asks, are you prompting me to do something, Bob?
Yes, sir. If you could ask the Polk County Board that question.
Yeah, so here's my question to the full county board. Would any supervisors like to reduce the number of standing committees they are on?
So this is an opportunity for those who may serve on 2 committees. Perhaps one of the committees that you serve on has quite a workload. You want to focus on that. Alternatively, maybe you serve on 2 committees and your personal work doesn't really allow you time to commit to 2 committees. Here's an opportunity, if you have 2, to consider dropping one.
Bob, is that within this group here?
Could I remind everyone to use their mics? Supervisor LeBlanc.
You get my key.
Okay, yeah, so Bob's asking, if you're on 3 committees or if you're on 2, does anyone want to, that's on an existing committee, the way I understand the question is, does anyone want to drop a committee that they're on right now? And if anyone does, would you raise your hand or ask to talk about that? Are there any volunteers? All right, I don't see any, Bob. So what's the next step?
The next step, Chairman Nelson, would be the question number 4.
Does any supervisors want to switch to a committee that has a current vacancy only from a committee they serve on? So this is kind of like the process we did before the prior years, which is a little more confusing. This is a little cleaner. So you're saying, are there any supervisors that are currently on a committee that would like to switch to another committee that they want to serve on? That would be opening up a spot on that existing committee. If it's an open spot on general government, health and human services, and public safety, we ask you, does anyone want to switch to go to one of those?
Absolutely. Great way of paraphrasing that. That's what we're asking. Is there any interest of those that are currently serving on one of these governing committees to switch to one of these vacancies? This is an opportunity to do so. If you do, let us know, because we, in real time, will be updating this list rather than the charts in the bottom. The beauty of technology. But again, this is a great opportunity for those existing elected officials to move. However, there's one caveat. If you do move, you have to relinquish either one or both of your current committee assignments, thus creating another vacancy for us. You follow that?
Administrator Netherland would like to speak. You want that committee? No, thank you. I think, though, something you should know is, let's say somebody is considering moving from one committee to another, and if there is competition for that spot, like if other people self-nominate and say, I would like that, and let's say that original supervisor does not win, do they still have to relinquish their old seat, or are they slotted back to that seat?
Only the one that moves.
Okay. So if you just say, I think I'd rather be on this one, but for whatever reason you don't get on it, like if I just vote, you haven't given up your last seat. So one thing I do want to interrupt, Supervisor Pritchard, are you still on the line? All right, so we might have lost Supervisor Pritchard's connection, so we're going to just Supervisor Wanda, are you on the line?
I am.
Okay. I don't want to be going too fast for Supervisor Pritchard to not give him an opportunity to weigh in on this. Well, yeah. We're going to keep moving on.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to Mr. Pritchard's connection there. He did call me today, I'm sure, the Health and Human Services, and he did call me today, and he said he thought his background was with the general government, and so he said although he appreciated his time and working on the Health and Human Services, he wanted to apply for general government. So I'm just, I got that call. I got that call, and so I thought I'd better reprove that. And now that you're trying to contact him, his connection seems to have slipped.
Okay, well, as the chair, I'm going to consider that Supervisor Pritchard wants to be on general government. If you have another supervisor, that's what his request was. I would consider that request as a supervisor that would like to switch, is what you're saying, right, Supervisor Bonaparte?
Yeah.
He didn't want to stay on health. He wanted to move to general government.
He did express that he didn't want to be on more than one committee.
Okay, that's fair. So I will consider Supervisor Pritchard's request. We can make that change now that he would like to be on general government. So is that the only supervisor that wants to switch? That's what I'm seeing, so we can move on from that. Right.
Chair, you want to be on it, Chair? Chair Glover?
There's two openings now.
But you want to be
Oh, I see. Now there's only
All the four vacancies have just been created. You did have two here with general government, now you have two in health and human services.
Is your chair automatic?
No, that's not automatic.
So you stay on it?
So far, unless someone bumps me off of there, I'd bump off if someone else wants it, but I'll stay on it.
Still subject to challenge.
Huh?
You see that's subject to challenge.
Right. Okay, Bob, what's our next step?
Is there any other interest to move committee? Well, if not, Chairman Nelson, you turn the page to step 3.
Who is interested in the vacant seats? So the vacant seats currently, can you list them off where the vacant seats are?
I think we'll start in alphabetical order, and with that, I guess we'll start with general government, right?
So would we at this point take nominations for anyone that's interested, anyone new that would like to serve on general government?
I nominate Fran.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Fran to be on general government. Do we have any other nominations? So I would require a second for that? Oh, you can self-nominate. Okay, so you self-nominate. So we just vote on that, right? All in favor of Fran being on general government, by saying aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Health and Human Services is our next openings. How many are there, Bob?
There's 2 vacancies. One from Supervisor Pritchett, move over to general government, and then one last vacant from past Supervisor Larson.
Garrison.
We have a motion by Supervisor Middleton.
Self-nominate myself for health and services.
Okay, do we have a second?
I second that.
Okay.
So I nominate, Amy Middleton for the other position.
Well, that's Amy just nominated.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Fran.
Fran on there.
So you want to vote Amy and Fran in on one motion to be, you guys can be on, Health and Human Services. Do we have a first and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Now for chair, if you vote on that now too.
Committee. So what's going to happen if one guy doesn't get any votes tonight?
The price to pay for not being there in person, I guess.
Thanks for being on the board, Steve.
Crystal Baldwin, something that might be in his wheelhouse.
Right.
Is that last vacancy, on public safety and public works.
And I nominate Steve.
Good job, Enterprise. Nominate Steve. Second by Supervisor Masters. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I was looking at that bond, it went real smooth.
Thanks to your leadership. They are doing well.
Gee, you're a good guy. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Bob. Yeah. So that takes care of C. We're on D. Is that administrative statement something held over till next month?
That is right.
So D, we're going to pass on our 16 proposed resolution to ordinance offer to adoption or enactment at April 21st, 2020 meeting. What am I doing with that, Maria? So I just go right into the resolutions now. On recommendations by Environmental Services Committee, ordinance 08-20 to enact and amend Polk County Shoreline Protection Zoning Ordinance. Can you speak to that, Chairman O'Connell, or whoever? Gotcha. So we have a motion to bring it to the floor. We have a second by Supervisor Masters. It's on the floor. Now Supervisor O'Connell or Jason, would you like to speak to what this ordinance we're voting on here tonight, what you've done?
What you're voting on is fairly comprehensive. All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, for those of you that don't know yet, my name is Jason. The ordinance that's before you tonight is an amendment to the Polk County Shoreline Protection Zoning Ordinance. This ordinance affects the land within 1,000 feet of a navigable lake or pond and 300 feet of a river or stream. The county has looked at putting comprehensive zoning districts within the shoreline area since 2015. There's been numerous state law changes along the way that have kind of made this questionable. And there's possibly a court case that was just decided today that may require some changes to this draft. However, that the Environmental Services Committee
and a lot of our local towns have spent a lot of time looking at revising their zoning maps. So not only is it a text change, but there's also a zoning map change, because that's a component of the ordinance. Basically what this does is it allows for residential and agricultural and commercial zoning districts that we have currently outside of the shoreline area for those to be placed inside the shoreline area. And this will give the towns more control and more of a say at their local level before they come to the county for approval. And essentially this is going to reduce the number of commissioners that are required to do some of the commercial businesses that you might see in the shoreline area, whether that's on that side of things. So I think it's important to note that in February, you guys had a resolution extending the moratorium on selling hog facilities. And there is a provision under federal provision that prohibits expansion of the swine livestock facilities to over 1,000 units. So basically everything swine feed within the shoreline area. And I believe that part of that resolution that you guys had passed in February was the second large Polk. So that's in there as well. Yes.
How long does that go for? Is it a 6-month extension of the moratorium, or
correct. So it was a 6-month extension. We developed a livestock study committee and produced a livestock study report that is out on the county website. That in coming months, and that you guys will probably see a presentation on that during this time. Basically, all we did was compile all the data that's been looked at, and then we reviewed the first moratorium and put that really in a report so that you guys can see that as a very choice.
Follow up, Jason. Thank you.
So, this is done before 6 months.
Supervisor Masters, you should address the chair. I've been waiting to do that all night. And I believe there's a point of order that we're not discussing the CAFO issue right now. We're on ordinance 08-20.
Chairman, sorry.
I'd like to stay on what's on the agenda. Supervisor Middleton.
I have a question. Can you give an example? Go back to that piece where you're talking about clarifying that line between the towns or doing the towns. Are you saying like that historically the towns would have to go through a process like a restaurant and now it's just streamlined?
Historically, the town has not been involved at all in the shoreline areas, and now they are going to have a stay on a zone, and that is now come to the county for a meeting. So there's still a public hearing process, and that was just but before a town was only advisory to the county committee through the conditional use process, and the committee wanted to grant it anyway. And conditional uses with the recent state law changes that have happened have become harder for a county to deny. So they're almost like an automatic approval anyway, as long as the applicant is willing to meet the conditions that the committee is getting placed on it. So this year will probably get actually a little bit harder than that for some of those issues. But at the town, and that is supportive, and they're not certain maybe in the past, they're very supportive of those.
Supervisor Masters.
The follow-up to that, I'm board and the clerk, but just to let my town supervisors know, the chairman, is this a form is going to be any different from the ones we have now, in other words, a setback or a zoning issue?
Correct. Supervisor Masters, all the normal shoreline protection criteria or the ordinance requirements are going to still remain in effect. Just a simple overlay, and all the road standards and road setbacks are all going to be considered.
Any other questions for Jason? Okay, thank you, Jason. Supervisor Masters?
Yeah, you have to do with anything else, or just
I'll let Jason speak to that question. I think the question, Jason, what is this actually? Can you again just explain exactly what this ordinance is affecting?
So the question is yes or no? It is not. All the criteria that you guys recently had as part of the last meeting, all those conditions will
Okay, so we've had a first and a second. Any additional discussion? I'll ask for a vote. All in favor by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The same? Carried. Next item would be a recommendation by general government. There is one resolution, 07-20. Resolution directing the county administrator to investigate options for saving the Clam Falls Dam. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
So Supervisor Luke first, Supervisor Olson second. General government chair, would you speak to this?
I'd love to do it. It's your resolution, Mr. Johnson. Chairman, so I do know that the administration is getting the option. Study Dan, but I don't know if it's done or not.
Sure, because I think it's true. I'm not supposed to speak to a resolution, correct, at this point?
Yeah.
Right, I have to put that down, so the administrator and everyone knows the intent of this resolution.
Right, I think, having come on after the Clam Falls Dam was voted on, the questions keep coming up from citizens around the Clam Falls Reservoir and the Flow Reach and other people. Have we investigated all avenues? And as I understand it, this resolution would give me authority to make some phone calls to consider, have we considered every alternative? It doesn't say that we're going to take action, it's just we're going to investigate it. I would like, if this board approves, I will make some calls and consider it. And I already have made some, but I think I could dig deeper and investigate opportunities.
Supervisor Masters?
What have they said, or what we talked about curiosity? Think that a little premature asking that question?
Well, I have made some calls to Northwest Electric Company and the people there, and gotten their side of it. And I can't say they were optimistic that anything could happen, but, they basically said, that we could possibly find someone who wants to file a lawsuit. Could we stop the DNR? Historically, they said the DNR is not interested in keeping dams, that they would prefer them to go back to its original state of a stream or a river. But there are some things that maybe we could investigate. I could call the DNR and talk to them specifically.
I guess one thing I am going to do, because this is something I'm planning to do, and I'm not going to be a conventional chair where I stay out of the debate, and because I did sign this resolution, I'm going to ask, I don't know what the process is, but I might as well run now, that the first chair take over while I address Supervisor Masters. It's just not my report, right? Nice job.
Thanks for following the process, and I will open it up for any discussion on that resolution. And go ahead, Chris.
So, Chair, so I sponsored with Supervisor Olson. I talked. The current plan a couple months ago was we were going to do a drawdown on Clam Falls, the lake, starting May 15th. Talking to legislators from the past said that a few years ago they would have been able to find funding to help offset what Northwestern or what actually the other company that actually have some ownership or lease into this dam and actually going to pay for the removal, that there was funding that could have been appropriated in the state budget to help offset those numbers to do these recommended repairs to the dam. Currently, under the status where we're at with everything, there is no budget cycle right now where they can go look for money. And so the thought was that could we have our staff talk to the DNR, talk to the owners of the dam. It may not be Northwestern they're talking to. That we find a possibility to just ask the DNR to just stop and just not require the owner of the dam to do the drawdown right now and give the state and other people time to really fully vet, is there any possibility that this dam could be saved and the community could be saved. It has nothing to do with ownership. It has nothing to do with us spending money. We had that debate in general government. We had a 3-to-1 vote in general government, as you remember, and the person that voted against it was confused that we were spending county money. And this has nothing to do with spending county money. It's just asking the DNR either nicely or helping other attorneys possibly, and as an advisory role to say, DNR, take a time out, suspend your rules for a while, back off on these requirements to draw down the dam, and give time. The dam's been there for, Supervisor Olson may know how long it's been there, 120 years, and it hasn't had a problem in 120 years, and I don't know what 6 months or a year hurts to ask the DNR. And so that's why we brought the resolution. It has nothing to do with ownership. It has nothing to do with county spending a dime. And I just wanted to make sure Supervisor Masters understands that once again.
Any further questions for Supervisor? Supervisor Olson.
Yeah, just on the Chris comments, yeah, it isn't, as I said earlier, it isn't meant to spend a dime, and I guess, we've got pushing 6 figures on the D.D. Kennedy Dam a couple, 3 years ago. We're looking at working, spending significant dollars on the Atlas Dam perhaps in the future, and this is something that is going to cost us a few minutes of the administrator's time. Is all it's really going to cost us.
Supervisor Masters.
Just to address Brad and Chris back, I understand those points that were made.
Right here.
Anyway, we own those dams. Obviously, you too well know. I mean, we have to maintain them. They're ours. I know we don't own this other one, the Cramp Falls one. And that was in conversation with the DNR when they were meeting with Andy and previous Administrator Osborne, and I was in the meeting. Vehemently against us doing anything and them doing anything more. They already said that they wanted to. I mean, I see the funding was out there, like Supervisor Nelson said. They didn't go for it apparently after discussions.
Well, did you have your hand on it?
Go ahead. I was quite done, but okay.
I didn't cut you off.
All right, I'll go ahead.
I don't want to interrupt you because I have anything else you want to add.
Not yet.
Okay. I just have a quick question. Who is the head of the dam section in the DNR and Schooner office? Is it Frank Allen? Does anybody know?
This came from Madison.
Came from Madison?
Mm-hmm. Madison, wonderful. We're here from this county, DNR, from Schooner. There's 5 DNR people. All this was discussed for 60 hours.
I guess I just want to make a statement for what it's worth, and I guess you can decide if it's relevant or not relevant. My husband and I owned a private dam on a lake outside of Shore Lake that had been in existence for about 35 years. That dam started to fail, and we took about 4 years of dealing with the DNR on that issue with the other property owners on the lake. Private lake, there was only 5 property owners, and we personally had to foot the bill for the entire thing. We got a court order that we had to draw the lake down and tear the dam out. And that's what we had to do. So hopefully, and I don't know all the details of the situation of what's going on up in St. Falls or in Pine Lake, but hopefully, I just wish you much better luck than what I have.
I would say as an acting chair, those are the type of things that we need to hear. It fits in our agenda because we're on this topic. And yeah, there is some rough stories out there like that. I can make a comment on when I was on the state highway board. It's a lot where you look. Pardon? I think the chair has the right to comment, don't they?
So one of the things that we had a discussion about, and Supervisor Olson said the same thing, was when those comments were made by the DNR, is that, oh, we've never given a variance, or we've given one to this situation on another dam somewhere in the state, but we normally never give them out. For that to be the reason for us not to try, it just, that's like coming to Polk County. We have variances process, and there's been years where people didn't get variances, and for us to tell someone, normally we don't get a variance for that, and then they don't do the project. So to me, I thought that was a pretty weak argument, and I'm not even sure who the owners of the dam really are, but for them to use that as a reason to not explore every avenue, and I just think, the public and the owners kind of made it sound like it was the county board that said, we don't care about the dam, we're not going to get involved, and it's your baby. And I just think that's wrong, that we don't help this community to try to save their community, regardless of how small it is. Because I can tell you what, if we were talking about Boston Lake right now, we wouldn't be letting that lake get drained down. And we don't own that dam. So, there's a lot of other issues here, and I have no problem. I guess what I was hoping for is that if the administrator isn't successful with this, at the bottom of this, it does say there could be what was the wording we had on the end of that resolution that's pending about litigation? There's not explore litigation. To me personally, to have our attorney help to sue the DNR to tell them to stop, what does that cost us? Our corporation councils paid to work on whatever we think is important. I think Polk County to allow lakes to get drained without every possibility. What's wrong with telling the DNR to stop? What's wrong with telling them to take a time out? They may say, hey, we're not going to take a time out, but I think this is very important for the county to take a stance to say, we're going to do everything we can to save a community on a lake, and if it doesn't cost us any money, it costs a little bit of time. What's wrong with that? And I guess Supervisor Masters, that's what the debate is about. And I would hope you would support saving a lake in Polk County, whether we own it or not. I'll leave that as my final comment, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Mr. Supervisor Masters.
I know it's not in our hands right now. To put any money towards the corporation also working on it. The county, that's costing us money. Whatever sources that will be needed our corporation council for the extra county business. Again, I know we don't own it, they own it. It should be their issue to deal with. I don't think it's my issue that should be an issue. So instead of process litigation time, or it should be our corporation council time, and there's other issues that the county needs to address with our corporation council. I don't mind just saving the dam business, but again, there would be money involved in that. It would be time for our corporation council that would spend time with our tax dollars looking at the dam that we don't own. So, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor.
I just have a question for clarification purposes. Personally, I don't have any problem with county staff, seeing, working, to seeing, what it is possibly they can do. But I want to know, just clear in my own mind, and I'm only asking this because you mentioned this, does this include threats of litigation or just working some way to try to resolve the situation?
Counsel?
So before any litigation or even threats of litigation would arise, that would have to be a closed session of this entire board where I would make recommendations and give legal advice, and then you would give my office direction. So no, it would not authorize any threat of litigation, but we certainly would internally explore it based upon the information the administrators and from the various key stakeholders.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that for me, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Counsel. Administrator, do you have any more comments on this? I'm just asking that out of courtesy.
Well, thank you. My only comments are that if this is a priority of the board, absolutely we can investigate this. It does take time. I don't think it would take a tremendous amount of time. Part of my job would be to recruit, not only my staff, but I may recruit a supervisor or two to make a phone call or visit with me. And I think if the supervisors believe this is something that we can do, I think we can do that. It's an investigation. I don't think it's anybody's, whether or not it'll be successful or not, I don't know.
Supervisor Ruth, thank you, Administrator. We can certainly do that. I would ask a show of hands of,
Roll call and call for it. He calls the roll call for that.
okay, state what you want your roll call to, you want to.
We'll call board on it. I'm to call the question.
Yeah, we want to explain the question.
Can you clarify the question?
The resolution.
Oh, that's the resolution. Okay. All right.
We're voting on the resolution. A yes would be in favor of the resolution as presented, and a no would be negative. So would you state the resolution, please, Ms. Polk?
So the resolution is to... All right. So motion would be to adopt resolution.
You can move right off there.
Okay, to adopt, resolution 720, motion, for the administrator to investigate options for saving Crampall Dam.
Pretty straightforward. Any questions on the resolution? If not, we'll proceed with a roll call vote, Ms. Clerk.
Brad Olson.
Yes.
Doug Rowdy.
Yes.
Steve Warnhall.
Yes.
Chris Nelson.
Yes.
Tracy LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Brian Masters. Is Mr. Pritchard with us? No? Okay. Jim Edgeworth?
Yes.
Jim O'Connell?
Yes.
Amy Middleton?
Yes.
Jay Luke?
Yes.
Fran Duncanson?
Yes.
Russ Archand?
No.
So Jay Denneling?
Yes.
Chris is going to vote.
I'm sorry, Chris, I apologize. You're voting? And he's abstaining. Okay.
I'm a yes.
And I'll abstain.
Gotcha. Okay. Then we have 13 in favor. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3.
11.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yep, 11 in favor. And 2, yeah, 2,
No.
is that right? Sorry, that means? 11 yes, 2 no. Okay.
Motion is carried. Mr. Roy.
Can I run after it? Supervisor Bonaparte, you have a comment?
Yeah, I wanted to say it, I
I got a couple calls from, in order,
That's okay. I'm going to recognize Supervisor Bonaprise for his comment.
I got a couple calls from, a guy that works for an engineering firm. And like Chris was saying, a few years ago, these things happened, came up and on the, Wisconsin County highway, the highway is usually involved in a dam also. And like I say, it would be some legislative person or something that would come up with money in their district. And these things would get done. And I got a call from the guy in the place, that's the good engineering firm, and he sounds very, very, more that such as activity is happening. So, there's a lot of public interest out there. And I wanted to refer that to, if you change it, that would.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Supervisor's announcements. I'm just gonna, that's the raise hands if anyone has any supervisor announcements. See none, do we have a motion to adjourn? Joe, second? Ted? Supervisor already got it in before you. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Nice job, everyone.
I got through it.